a great time thus far. We're here to encourage you through song and through the writings. First, we want to begin by doing the Baruch of the Torah. And then from there, we will go into the reading of the 10 Commandments. And then we will go into reading Devarim chapter 6. Once again, I pray all is well with you, and that in this time that you are celebrating, commemorating, and that the Abba, through his son, Yahushua, our Hamashiach, is encouraging your heart and keeping you in a place of humility and keeping you in a place that you don't forget that this is just for a moment and soon it will be over. And it is so.
And it is so.
Your light affliction is only for a moment, and then it will be over. All right, repeat with me. Baruch Yahuwah.
Baruch Yahuwah.
The Baruch eternity.
For all eternity.
Baruch atah.
Baruch atah.
Yahuwah.
Yahuwah.
Our supreme one.
Our supreme one.
King of the universe.
King of the universe.
Who selected us from all the peoples.
Who selected us from all the people.
And gave us his Torah.
And gave us his Torah.
Baruch atah. Who gave us the Torah of truth.
Who gave us the Torah of truth.
And implanted eternal life within us.
And implanted eternal life within us.
Baruch atah.
Baruch atah.
Yahuwah.
Yahuwah.
Giver of the Torah.
Giver of the Torah.
And it is so.
And it is so.
And it is so. Now we have the reading of the 10 Commandments done by Mattathias. And it is so.
And it is so.
Land from the days of slavery. Bet you shall have no other power before me. You shall not make you any graven image or any likeness of anything that is in Shemayim above, or that is in the earth beneath, or that is in the Mayim beneath the earth. You shall not bow down yourself unto them, nor serve them, for I, Yahuwah, power and my jealous power. Visiting the iniquity of the Abbas upon the children unto the third and fourth generation of them that hate me, and showing mercy unto thousands of them that hide me and keep commandments. Gimel, you shall not take the name of Yahuwah, your power, and falsify it, for Yahuwah will not hold him guiltless that takes his name and empties it. Dalit, guard the Sabbath day to set it apart, as Yahuwah, your power, has commanded you. 6 days you shall labor and do all your work, but the seventh day is the Sabbath of Yahuwah, your power. In it you shall not do any work, you, nor your son, nor your daughter, nor your manservant, nor your maidservant, nor your ox, nor your ass, nor any of your cattle. Nor remember that you were a servant in the land of Mitzrayim, the Sabbath day. Hey, esteem your Abiyim as Yahuwah, your power, has commanded you, that your days may be prolonged and that it may go well with you in the land which Yahuwah, your power, is about to give you. 1, you shall not murder. Zain, neither shall you commit adultery. Ket, neither shall you steal. Tet, neither shall you bear false witness against your neighbor. Yud, neither shall you desire your neighbor's Isha, neither shall you covet your neighbor's bed, his field, or his manservant, or his maidservant, the cloud, and of the thick darkness with a great voice. And he added no more. And he wrote them in 2 tables of stone and delivered them unto me. And it is so.
And it is so. And it is so. Which is Deuteronomy chapter 6, verses 1 through 18. And it reads, these are the commandments, the statutes, and the judgments which Yahuwah, your power, commanded to teach you, that you might do them in the land where you're going to enter and possess it, that you might fear Yahuwah, your power, to keep all his statutes and his commandments, which I command you, you and your son and your grandson, all the yamim of your life, and that your yamim may be prolonged. Hear therefore, O Yasharal, Yahuwah, our power, Yahuwah, our supreme one, is Akkad. And you shall have Yahuwah, your supreme one, with all your heart and with all your soul and with all your might. With all your what?
Might.
With all your heart, with all your soul, and with all your might. That means everything that's in you. And these words which I command you this yom shall be in your where? Should be where?
Your heart.
In your heart. All right, y'all know, y'all supposed to be knowing this now. In your heart. And you shall teach them diligently unto your children, and shall talk of them when you sit in your bed, and when you walk by the way, and when you lie down, and when you rise up. And you shall bind them for a sign upon your hand, and they shall be as frontlets between your eyes, to fall to what?
To bind to the mind.
To bind to the mind. You have to give Torah access to your mind. If you don't give the Torah access to your mind, guess what happens? You're not able to comprehend and able to understand the Torah to your mind. One thing about the Torah will bring about a change in your heart and mind, especially the people that think they know everything. And you shall write them upon the posts of your bed and on your gates. And it shall be when your power shall have brought you into the land which he swore to your fathers, to Abraham, to Isaac, and to Yaakov, to give you great cities which you did not build, houses full of all great things which you built not. And wells dug, which you did not dig. Vineyards and olive trees, which you did not. Then beware lest you what? Forget who? Say it again. Forget who?
Yahuwah.
Forget Yahuwah. This is important. Why is it important? Because sometimes we forget Yahuwah. And we forget him in more ways than one. Then beware lest you forget Yahuwah, which brought you forth out of the land of Mitzrayim, from the bed of slavery. You shall fear Yahuwah your power and serve him, and shall swear by his name. You shall not go after the power of the people which are round about you. For Yahuwah your power is a jealous power among you, lest the anger of Yahuwah your power be kindled against you, and he destroy you from off the face of the earth. You shall diligently keep the what?
Commandments.
Of who?
Yahuwah.
Of Yahuwah your power, and his testimonies, and his statutes, which he has commanded who?
You.
Commanded who?
Us.
Us, me, you. And you shall do that which is right in the sight of who?
Yahuwah.
And you shall do that which is right in the sight of who?
Yahuwah.
Yahuwah. That it may be well with you, and that you may go in and possess the great land which Yahuwah your power. Because it's a lot of stuff, y'all, that is going on out there. And if we're not careful, we're gonna find ourselves being caught up in it.
Let the power of Yahuwah rise among us. Let the power of Yahuwah rise among us. Let the praises of our King rise among us. Let it rise. Let the power of Yahuwah rise among us. Let the power of Yahuwah rise among us. Let the praises of our King rise among us. Let it rise. Let the power of Yahuwah rise among us. Let the power of Yahuwah rise among us. Let the praise let it rise. Oh, 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 oh. Let it rise. Let the power of Yahuwah, let the praises of our King rise among us. Let it rise. Let the power of Yahuwah rise among us. Oh, 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 oh. Let it rise. Let the power of Yahuwah rise among us. Let the power of rise among us. Let the praises of our King rise among us. Let it rise. Let the power of Yahuwah rise among us. Let the power of Yahuwah rise among us. Let the praises of our King rise among us. Let it rise. Oh, 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 oh. Let it rise. 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 Let the power of Yahuwah rise among us. Let the power of Yahuwah. Let the power of Yahuwah rise among us. Let the power of Yahuwah rise among us. Let the praises of our King rise among us. Let it rise. Oh, oh, oh. of Yahuwah rise among us. Let the praises of our King rise among us. Let it rise. Oh, oh, oh. Let it rise. Oh, oh, oh. Let it rise. Oh, oh, let it rise. Oh, let it rise.
Worthy is our King. Now we want to turn our attention to Yahush, the son of Nun, chapter 1, verse 6, 7, and 8. We're going to confess as I've made it to fit our personal time of confession. And we are confessing this daily and not just during the times of class. Okay, I pray so. Because it's very important because it helps to shape and define our lives. All right, beginning at verse 6. Be strong and of a great courage, for to this people shall ye an inheritance, the land which I swore to their Abbas to give them. Only be you strong and very courageous, that you may observe to do according to all that is written. According to all the Torah which Moshe my servant commanded. Turn not from it to the right hand or to the left, that you may prosper wherever you go. It's given us a command. Don't turn away from it. Verse 8, as I have tailored it to fit a time of confession. Not taking anything out, but just out of my mouth.
Depart out of my mouth.
But I shall meditate therein.
But I shall meditate therein.
Yom and Layla.
Yom and Layla.
That I may observe to do.
That I may observe to do.
According to all that is written in it.
According to all that is written in it.
For then I shall make my way prosperous.
For then I shall make my way prosperous.
And then I shall act wisely.
And then I shall act wisely.
Now look at your neighbor, to your neighbor, you shall act wisely.
And you shall act wisely.
Look at your other neighbor, to your other neighbor, you shall act wisely.
And you shall act wisely.
Look at your other neighbor, tell your other neighbor, you shall act wisely.
And you shall act wisely.
Now take your hand, put it over your heart and say, Abba Yahuwah,
Abba Yahuwah,
I shall act wisely.
I shall act wisely.
Come on, Abba Yahuwah,
Abba Yahuwah,
I shall act wisely.
I shall act wisely.
I am determined.
I am determined
to act wisely.
to act wisely.
I am determined.
I am determined
to act wisely.
to act wisely.
Come on, I am determined.
I am determined
to act wisely.
to act wisely.
And it is so.
And it is so.
And it is so. It is important that we act wisely. And I'm not just saying just because of everything that is happening. It is important if you are a Hebrew, an Ibra, that you act wisely, because it is a part of our character makeup. If we are unwise, then we are not fit. And if we're unfit, then there are certain things that we cannot do as representatives of the kingdom of the Abba. So it's important that we understand there are things that are required of us at this very moment, at this very hour. And in order to do so, we must remember we've been given a charge. You've got to hold fast to the instructions of the Abba, because it is what makes us. You know how there was a saying, milk does the body great. Well, the Torah does not only your body great, but it does your character, your ruach. It does it great. Why? Because it goes in and it breaks up and it fixes and it makes what it's supposed to be, strengthen what's supposed to be strengthened, and turn the crowd. And we'll just be another figure that walks around daily without any character and without anything to define our lives and separate us from the world. It's important that we remember that because people are watching us. And because people are watching us, it is important that we not do anything foolish, but that we represent the Abba unto the very end.
Right.
We represent him and we show the world. We know who we are. And we don't break under pressure. We become stronger. We become stronger.
Right.
And we don't break. You got to understand, we are responders, not reactors. Reactors have meltdowns. And you don't want to melt down in this hour, but we want to respond regardless of what situation is taking place in our lives. That's important. And it is so.
And it is so.
Let us have. I'll say yes, Yahuwah, yes, to your will and to your way. I'll say yes, Yahuwah, yes. I will trust you and obey. When your Ruach speaks to me, with my whole heart I'll agree. And my answer will be yes, Yahuwah, yes. I'll say yes, Yahuwah, yes, to your will and to your way. I'll say yes, Yahuwah, yes. I will trust you and obey. When your Ruach speaks to me, with my whole heart I'll agree. And my answer will be yes, Yahuwah, yes. I'll say yes, Yahuwah, yes, to your will and to your way. I'll say yes, Yahuwah, yes. I will trust you and obey. When your Ruach speaks to me, yes, Yahuwah, yes, to your will and to your way. I'll say yes, Yahuwah, yes. I will trust you and obey. When your Ruach speaks to me, with my whole heart I'll agree. And my answer will be yes, Yahuwah, yes. I'll say yes, Yahuwah, yes, to your will and to your way. I'll say yes, Yahuwah, yes. I will trust you and obey. When your Ruach speaks to me, with my whole heart I'll agree. And my answer will be yes, Yahuwah, yes. I'll say yes, Yahuwah, yes, to your will and obey. When your Ruach speaks to me, with my whole heart I'll agree. And my answer will be yes, Yahuwah, yes. I'll say yes, Yahuwah, yes, to your will and to your way. I'll say Yahuwah, yes. I will trust you and obey. When your Ruach speaks to me, with my whole heart I'll agree. And my answer will be yes, Yahuwah, to your way. I'll say yes, Yahuwah, yes. I will trust you and obey. When your Ruach speaks to me, with my whole heart I'll agree. And my answer will be yes, Yahuwah, yes. I'll say yes, Yahuwah, yes, to your will and to your way. I'll say when your Ruach speaks to me, with my whole heart I'll agree. And my answer
will be yes. Yahuwah, yes. I'll say yes, Yahuwah, yes. To your will and to your way. I'll say yes, Yahuwah, yes. I will trust you and obey. When your Ruach's answer will be yes, Yahuwah, yes. I'll say away. I'll say yes, Yahuwah, yes. I will trust you and obey. When your Ruach speaks to me, with my whole heart I'll agree. And my answer will be yes, Yahuwah, yes. I'll say yes, Yahuwah, yes. To your will and to your way. I'll say yes, Yahuwah, yes. I will trust you and obey. When your Ruach speaks to me, with my whole heart I'll agree. And my answer will be yes, Yahuwah, yes. I'll say yes, Yahuwah, yes. To your will and to your way. I'll say yes, Yahuwah, yes. I will trust hard, I'll agree. And my answer will be yes, Yahuwah, yes. I'll say yes, Yahuwah, yes. And obey. When your Ruach speaks to me, with my whole heart I'll agree. And my answer will be yes, Yahuwah, yes. I'll say yes, Yahuwah, yes. To your will and to your way. I'll say yes, Yahuwah, yes. I will trust you and obey. When your Ruach speaks to me, with my whole heart I'll agree. And my answer will be yes, Yahuwah, yes. He's worthy of all praise. He's worthy of all esteem. We magnify him, we praise him, we adore him, because he's worthy, he's worthy, he's worthy, he's worthy. Praise. He truly is worthy of all our esteem. He's worthy of every tear. He's worthy that if we had 10,000 tongues, we still could not praise him enough. He is so worthy. He is worthy. But with what we have, we're going to praise him with all of our might, with all of our soul, and with all of our heart, because he deserves it. He deserves every halal Yahuwah. He deserves every thank you, Todah. He deserves it all, because he's just that great. He has been great and will continue to be great unto us, his people. And it is so. At this time, I want you to turn your attention to Yehukanan, which is John, Aleph, chapter 5, John 5, 1 John 5. And we're going to read verses 1 through 21. Once again, in the time that we are living in. Why is it important? Because so many people have given up and continue to give up on the belief in the Mashiach. And you have to understand, without the Mashiach in our lives, we are like ships without sails. We are like blinded people without any kind of guidance. And I don't know about you, but in this hour and time, we have no time and place to be blinded.
Right.
Blinded people lose their lives, especially when they have no guide.
Right.
And the writings are our guides, but without the right interpretation, you're still blind. And so it is important that we understand we need him in our lives. The same thing that we are dealing with in a manner is the same thing that Yehukanan dealt with. Those that did not believe, those that spoke ill, those that criticized, those that really spoke down and spoke very ill of the Mashiach, because they didn't believe that he was the Mashiach. You had people that said that he was only flesh and water. There were those that believed that he was an angelical being.
There were those that did not believe that he was flesh and blood and ruach. They did not believe. So what did Yehochanan have to do? He had to come and show proof as well as evidence that he was the son and that he was sent to do a great work in the world. And when I mean in the world, I'm talking about to touch all of Yahshua in the four extremities. That's why it is important in this hour that we not allow people to cause us to forfeit, cause us to cast away our confidence in him and our belief in him, because without him, you will not understand the times, you will not understand the writings, you won't even understand yourself without him in your life. And so it is important that we keep this refreshed in our hearts. Why? Because we need to know that the witness of the Abba is greater than the witness of men. And so it's important. So beginning at verse 1, and it reads, everyone who believes that Yahush is the Mashiach has been born of Yahuwah. And everyone who loves the one bringing forth also loves or habs the one having been born of him, meaning Yahush. By this we know that we ahab the children of Yahuwah, when we ahab Yahuwah and guard his commands. There are two things that are important. If you don't ahab the children of Abba Yahuwah and guard his commands, you are automatically disqualified.
That's right.
For this is the ahab for Yahuwah, that we guard his command. His commands are not difficult, because everyone having been begotten of Yahuwah overcomes the world. This is important because how are you going to overcome the world when you don't have the right tools to overcome him or overcome the world's system, the world's agenda, the world's promotions, and that what the world is doing? How can you overcome when you don't know how to?
That's right.
And this is the overcoming that has overcome the world. Our belief in who? In the Mashiach, Yahush. Who is the one who overcomes the world but he who believes that Yahush is the son of Yahuwah? That's a question. This is the one that came by water and blood. Yahush Mashiach, not only by water, but by water and blood. And it is the Ruach who bears witness, because the Ruach is important. There must be an agreement. And this is that agreement. If we receive the witness of men, the witness of Yahuwah is greater, because this is the witness of Yahuwah, which he has witnessed concerning his son, the water, the blood, and the Ruach. That is important. Proof and evidence wrapped up together to substantiate the one who does not believe Yahuwah has made him a liar, because he has not believed the witness that Yahuwah has given concerning his son. In other words, those that constantly fight against Yahush being the Mashiach, they are basically saying that the witness that the Abba has put forth is a lie. And they call Abba Yahuwah a liar. And so I admonish you, if you're around people that don't believe and you cannot win them over through the writings, you need to remove yourself from them, because they are in danger of judgment. Why are they in danger of judgment? Because they've just called the Abba a liar. They've just called him a liar. Now you must understand, it is important that we have him in our lives, because without him in our lives, when the information, but you got to understand, when you hear the voice of the Mashiach, you are also hearing the voice of the Abba. So if you can't hear the voice of the Mashiach, you definitely cannot and will not hear the voice of the Abba. Just like the people did not listen to Moshe. And this is the witness that Yahuwah has given us eternal life. And this life is in his son. Who possesses the son possesses life. Who does not possess life. Once again, verse 12 is very important. And I know many people feel like, well, I already know that. That's simple. That's easy. But there are many of those that do not and will not accept that unless you accept the Son, you do not have eternal life, because they have been lied to, and they have been misled, and they have been misguided and misinstructed, or ill instructed. Once again, verse 12 says, he who possesses the Son possesses life. He who does not possess the Son of Yahuwah does not possess life. I have written this to you who believe in the name of the Son of Yahuwah, so that you know that you possess everlasting life. Why was he writing this? Because he was encouraged. Are you hearing me? In the Mashiach. So that's why he's saying, I'm writing this to you who are believers. because you need to know that in these final hours, how to stand. And having done all to stand, stand therefore with your loins girt about with his truth. Because pressure is coming. It's already here among many, some more than others at this point. But there's going to be a pressure that's applied unto us as a people that if you don't not embedded in your heart, you're going to fall feeble and you're going to fall prey to the entrapment of the enemy. It's important that we understand. Are y'all following me?
Yeah.
Very important. Once again, I have written this to you who believe in the name of the Son of Yahuwah, so that you know that you possess everlasting life, and so that you believe in the name of the Son of Yahuwah. And this is the boldness that we have in him, that if we ask whatever according to his desire, he hears us. You need to make your prayers and petitions known unto Abba Yahuwah through Yahush, our Hamashiach. One of the things that is important, let's talk more prayer. It is important that we pray and not waste time. Many people are in situations now that they are really feeling the pressure and they're feeling like, man, I want to do this. You have to understand, when we start voicing certain things we want to do and we don't go back and say, Abba Yahuwah, strengthen me and don't let me do that. The more you give energy to those words, the more those words go to your actions.
God.
Are y'all following me?
Yeah.
That's important to understand. That if we ask whatever according to his desire, he hears us. Abba Yahuwah, I need help and I need strength. He hears us. And we must be able to call upon him and tell him, Abba Yahuwah, I need your strength. I need your help. And he will hear us. It is not, you got to understand, as we know that we have the petitions that we have asked of him. If anyone sees his brother sinning a sin not to death, he shall ask and he shall give him life for those not sinning to death. There is a sin to death. I do not say that he should pray about that. All unrighteousness is sin, and there is a sin not to death. Once again, he's encouraging us as the children of Yahshua. We know that everyone having been born of Yahuwah does not sin, break, transgress, overlook, sidestep his instructions for our lives. Anybody, are y'all following me?
Yeah.
Because you must understand, sin is the transgression of the Abba's law, his instructions for our lives. And so it is important, very important. Are y'all following me? You have not the power to get out of. Are you hearing me?
Yeah.
Very important for us to understand that. All unrighteousness is sin, and there is a sin not to death. There, verse 19. We know that we are of Yahuwah, and all the world lies in the wicked one. Are you hearing me?
Yeah.
Let's jump back up to verse 18. I'm sorry, I skipped 18. We know that everyone having been born of Yahuwah does not sin, but the one having been begotten of Yahuwah guards himself, and the wicked one does not touch him. Because you are covered. We are covered.
God.
We are covered. That's important. You can't believe the lie and all this propaganda and all the rest of the stuff that's going on out here. If you're living right and doing what you're supposed to, the evil one can't touch you.
God.
Does that mean he won't come at you? He's coming at you, believe that. We know that we are of Yahuwah, and all the world lies in the wicked one. We know that the Son of Yahuwah has come and has given us a what? An understanding. Are y'all following me?
God.
He has given us a what?
An understanding.
An understanding. An understanding of what? The writings, the times, the seasons. An understanding of his purpose in our lives. If you don't understand that when it comes time to read and to it, you're going to fight against it. You're going to fight against it to survive, when truthfully we're already living and thriving in him. Are y'all following me?
Yeah.
It's important that we understand that. Because if we don't, we're going to be fighting. We'll be fighting at the wind. And if you're fighting at the wind, you will never hit anything. You're never going to land a blow fighting at the wind. Shadow boxing either. Are y'all following me?
Yeah.
And we know that the Son of Yahuwah has come and has given us an understanding so that we might know the true one. And we are in the true one, in his Son, Yahushua Mashiach. He is the true one. And except you are in him, then what are you in or who are you in? Because you can't be in the Abba except you are in Yahush. Are you following me?
Yeah.
You can't. Now understand this. This is the true Yahuwah and everlasting life. Little children, keep yourselves from idols. And it is so. Why is he telling them this? Because he knew there was a time that they were going to be confronted and that they were going to have to make a conscious decision to not follow after idols, to not follow after that what is made tangible. Are you following me?
Yeah.
They knew, and this is why he was encouraging them. You see more now than ever, a whole lot of stuff. People believing in crystals, and if you put this on, it'll ward this off and ward that off. We can't afford to have those things in our home and even a part of our lives. Because the moment you bring that in, guess what happens? You evict the Abba. Because he's not going to share a house with an idol, and he's definitely not going to share a house with the enemy. So it's very important that we understand the times that our affirmations, and then from our affirmations, we're going to have our declaration, and then we're going to have a song, and then we're going to be prepared for the full course meal. I pray that you're hungry and you are ready to receive what the Abba would have to say unto us, his people. And it is so.
And it is so.
And it is so. All right, affirmation. Our affirmations are given when the enemy comes with us with butt loads and heavy loads of all kind of stuff from everywhere and from all places where even times you can't even imagine some of the stuff that comes at your door. He still has given us an affirmation. He's given us a place of authority, and he's given us a place to stand. And you've got to make sure that your heart is in cooperation with your mind and with your mouth. That is important. Why is it important? Because once again, in the time that we're living in, there's so much going on, scare tactics. And one thing about people like to stay in there and cause people to be afraid. There are people that are basically developed and born to do the stuff they do. And if they can keep you running, keep you guessing, and keep you in a place of a delusion, and you're delirious and you're confused and you're baffled, and above all, you're scared, because people that are scared will do silly stuff because they're trying to keep from they're trying to live, they're trying to survive. So you'll find people doing silly stuff, and this is why it is important that we understand that development is key. When you mature and develop, there are some things that you be like, I'm gonna let that go by and even engage in that, because that's foolishness. That's beneath aging, because it's just not worth my time.
Right.
Are y'all following me? Okay. It's very important for us to understand that. And so this is why we have affirmations, to keep us on track, so that we don't forget we have a purpose. And that purpose is not to get into unnecessary fights, but you got to maintain, and you got to be stable. Are you hearing me? It's very important for us to understand that, because if we're going to win, then we've got to make sure that we are doing all that the Abba has given unto us to do. And it is so. I purpose to develop my ruach.
I purpose to develop my ruach.
I purpose to walk in the light of Torah.
I purpose to walk in the light of Torah.
I am Ibram.
I am Ibram.
I am born again.
I am born again.
I am Ibram.
I am Ibram.
I have the life and nature.
I have the life and nature
of Yahuwah in my ruach.
of Yahuwah in my ruach.
That life is
That life is
the Torah of Yasharal.
the Torah of Yahshua.
I purpose to walk
I purpose to walk
in the Torah of life.
in the Torah of life.
Yahuwah's Torah,
Yahuwah's Torah,
Yahush,
Yahush,
is in me.
is in me.
Yahuwah's knowledge,
Yahuwah's knowledge
is in me.
is in me.
Yahuwah's aha,
Yahuwah's ahab
is in me.
is in me.
Yahuwah's power,
Yahuwah's power
is in me.
is in me.
Yahuwah's wisdom,
Yahuwah's wisdom
is in me.
is in me.
He is teaching me.
He is teaching me.
He is leading me.
He is leading me.
I am a child of Yahuwah.
I am a child of Yahuwah.
The Ruach,
The Ruach
HaKodesh
HaKodesh
of Yahuwah in me
of Yahuwah in me
is leading me.
is leading.
I'll follow her leading.
I'll follow her leading.
I'll walk in
I'll walk in
the Torah,
the Torah,
Yahush,
Yahush,
our Hamashiach.
our Mashiach.
And it is so.
And it is so.
Now our
Name of
declaration.
Yahush,
Our Hamashiach.
our Mashiach.
We subdue ignorance
We subdue ignorance
with Torah knowledge.
with Torah knowledge.
And shalom,
Shalom,
deliverance,
deliverance,
and salvation.
and salvation.
We decree,
We decree
Torah truth
Torah truth
in the lives
in the lives
of your people,
of your people,
our people,
our people.
Yasharal.
Yahshua.
We unite,
We unite
not to fight,
not to fight,
not to fight,
not to fight
each other,
each other,
each other,
each other,
each other,
each other,
but the enemy
but the enemy
of our belief.
of our belief.
And it is so.
And it is so.
We must remember we are force in the hour, unstoppable. Because the moment you begin to look at me as an enemy and I look at you as an enemy, we've already been defeated.
Correct.
We've already been defeated. We may not see eye to eye, but we're still not enemies. And you got to remember, this is a tactic of the enemy. Conquer and divide, because if he can conquer us. So it's important that we remember that we unite not to fight each other, but we unite so that we can really begin to build and build something great in the hour. And it is so.
And it is so.
And it is so. At this time, we're going to have our last song, and it is so.
And it is so.
Before we go into part 2. And it is so.
And it is so.
Oh, watch it. What USB?
Let everything that has breath praise Yahuwah. Let everything that has breath praise Yahuwah. Let everything that has breath, let everything that has breath praise Yahuwah. Let everything that has breath praise Yahuwah. Let everything that has breath praise Yahuwah. Let praise Yahuwah. Let everything that has breath praise Yahuwah. Yeah, 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 let everything that has breath praise Yahuwah. Let everything that has breath praise Yahuwah. Let everything, let everything that has breath praise Yahuwah. Praise let everything that has breath, everything that has breath, praise Yahuwah. Let everything that has breath, let everything that has breath praise Yahuwah. Come on, praise Him. At this time, we're going to bow before our King and we're going to confess to Tehillim 19 and 14. And it is so.
And it is so.
Repeat with me. May the utterance of my mouth
May the utterance of my mouth
and the deliberation of my heart
and the deliberation of my heart
be desirable before you,
be desirable before you,
O Yahuwah,
O Yahuwah,
my rock
my rock
and my redeemer.
and my redeemer.
May the utterance of my mouth
May the utterance of my mouth
and the deliberation of my heart
and the deliberation of my heart
be desirable before you,
be desirable before you,
O Yahuwah, and my redeemer.
and my redeemer.
And it is so.
And it is so.
I want you to turn your attention with me to Jeremiah, which is Jeremiah chapter 6. And we are going to look at verse 16. It is very familiar passage. And those of you that have been watching, I have been talking about sustainability. Excuse me, as a we're going to be talking about our time ownership, farmland. We're going to continue to talk about this, and it's going to be broken up into, I believe it is in 5 or 6 categories. We've already talked about sustainability, and the sustainability we've talked about is sustainability, farmland ownership, They're from farmland ownership, food sovereignty, independent medical care, and community. Why is this important for us as a people? It is important because it defines who we are as a people. And so Jeremiah, which is Jeremiah chapter 6, verse 16, very important. If any of you have experienced, and I'm sure you have, the epidemic that we as a people, because we are a part of this system, we're not of it, but we still are affected by it because we are here.
Right.
Many people, I will not say everybody was affected because everybody is not plugged in the same way.
Sure.
But for those of us that have experienced certain things on certain levels, we've come to appreciate and understand the right land ownership because it is a part of our sustainability and it's in the writings. And so because it's in the writings, it is important that we seek out to know how to go about this. And is it a part of our lifestyle? And I can say with surety, it is. It is the lifestyle that we were given. And because of error and because of we have to pay for it. And so now we are learning how not just to live upright, but also to have a lifestyle in our food, our way, in our shelter, our clothing, and in everything we do to support our change. And so, as I said before, if you were one that was affected, then you will understand where I'm coming from. Why is it important that we understand sustainability through farmland? As many of us had to go to the grocery store to buy, whether it was to pick up few small things, large things, you understand the rush, you understand the now the position that everyone is in. We had to see many people try to get into grocery stores, and you had to wait, you had to stand in a line, and you had to wait for your turn to get into the grocery store. Limitations on food. You can't buy but 2 packs of chicken here and there. And then ground beef, you can only buy 2 packs. And whether you're shopping for vegetables or whatever, there was still a major and still is limitation on things you can purchase, tissue, personal items. So these things are high in demand, but it put many of people in a very challenging situation because everybody was not prepared on how quick it came upon us.
Right.
Now, with that being said, sustainability and having your own, it changes the whole game plan. And we're going to find proof and evidence the land and to build that land and have that land to feed us and sustain us. I believe that over time, as I have said it before, that we are the true caregivers of the world, not just certain parts, but of the world. And because we lost our position, now there are false caretakers in place. And because they're in place, they are destroying the world. That's why you have more skyscrapers in this, what is it, G5, isn't it? 5G towers coming up, all this radiation, because they don't care about the planet. They just care about their money. They just care about aligning their pockets with fiat money. This is what they care about. So they don't care about anything else. They don't care about the well-being of the people. So it is important that you and that I take action about how we're going to live and how we're going to sustain ourselves. Right. And so once again, if you were a part of that, you understand you got to make a change. And once again, it is important. It is time for a major change. And that change begins with you. It begins with me. It begins with us as a people. You've got to be willing to make hard choices and hard decisions in this time because you got to understand too in the future. So it's important that we understand, somebody might be saying, well, why don't we just leave? Because if the Abba has not opened that door for us to leave, you're just going to leave. And then you got to have a plan, the best of it. I didn't say do what they say do. I said make the best of it. Sure. And by making the best of it, you find a way to make it comfortably while you're still here. Sure. Now, with that being said, once again, the topic is farmland. Now we're going to go to, once again, Jeremiah, which is Jeremiah chapter 6, verse 16. And this is the platform in which I will build. He says, thus says Yahuwah. Now, mind you, Jeremiah is talking to Yasharal because Yasharal has gotten out of place in a major way. Major way. She has lost her sensitivity to the things of the Abba. She has conformed and become as the people that she was forewarned not to become like. Sounds just like us to Yam, doesn't it? Conforming and doing what others do because we're trying to fit in and we're trying to make it. And this is what happened. And so the prophet begins to speak as the Abba gives him to, which is plural. And look intently. First of all, you got to be in Yahush in order to understand what you're looking for.
That's right.
As I read earlier in Yehukin and Aleph, chapter 5, verses, I believe 5, we have no understanding. I need my charger. We have no understanding. And so without an understanding, we will fail to be able to stand and to be productive. It's not about surviving. It's about living and being productive.
That's right.
Are you following me?
Yes.
Very important for us to understand. And he says, and look intently. In other words, focus. Once you are focused, now what is it I'm looking for? What am I searching to get?
Mhm.
This was an attention getter. Where, listen what it says, the great way is, and walk in it. Two other renderings. One, I'm going to read it from the Hebrew English Tanakh. And it says, thus said Yahuwah, stand by the roads, and stand by the roads, the crossroads, the roads, and consider. Consider what? Inquire about ancient paths. I like to say original. Travel it and find tranquility for yourselves. But they said, we will not. Now, our ancestors and forefathers had a whole different way of looking at viewing things. That's not the mindset we have. We have a relationship, and I don't know about you, but I am not trying to lose the relationship that I have built with the Abba through Yahush our Hamashiach. I am not trying to forfeit it. I'm not trying to break it. I am trying to make it stronger and last. And so it is important that we understand, what are we looking for? We're looking for the original pathways to our life.
Right.
We're not just about surviving, it's about living so that we can serve him, so that we can esteem him in the manner that we're supposed to. Are y'all following me?
Yes.
Very important for us to understand. Now, they said we will not, but that's not what we're saying. We're saying we will. We're like the little who's on the little, anybody saw the who's on the little thing? What's the name of the, what was the name of the movie? Dr. Sue, Horton Hears the Who, and they're saying, we're here. And it was saying, with my Ruach, I will obey. When you speak to me with my whole heart, I'll agree. And my answer will be yes, Abba Yahuwah, yes. That's what it has to be. It can't be anything else but that.
That's right.
It's important. Now I'm going to read you from the Serene version. And it reads, thus said Yahuwah, stand in the ways and see it, as for the old paths, the original paths, where the great way is, and walk in it, and find rest for your state of chaos. I don't know about you, but chaos. And if I can avoid it, guess what? I will do so, and so should you.
That's right.
That brings us to where we are now. Once again, the importance of, but right now, Cody, you talking great, and you sounding great, but I don't have it. I don't have money to invest in that. Well, you got to understand something. This is where, once again, major change. Major change means geographically, I may need to make some decisions and choices that at one time, we've been here forever, but then you got to look at and count up the cost of what it's going to take to stay there and live versus just surviving and trying to connect and build as a people. This is important. And this is where I challenge you as the children of Yahshua, because no man is an island and no man stands alone. If you stand alone, it's because you choose to. Now, let me say this in respect. It is important that you understand with the people, a body of people, a strong body of people. And even if that body of people, you may feel, well, they could use some help and they need a little bit more, then the bottom line is if you join them, be prepared for whatever is offered. See, this is where it's coming down to making decisions where you, that's important. And because that way was challenging Yahshua to make some changes and to make some hard decisions in order to be obedient to the Abba. Are y'all following me? It's important. Now, once again, it's important for us to understand that. Now, let's look at the writings that show us and that's going to minister to us concerning land and concerning the makeup and how we're to live. I've said this, and you may agree and you may not agree, but I believe with all my heart that skyscraping buildings and cars and locomotives, all those things were never in the plan and in the heart of Abba Yahuwah. Because there's nowhere in the writings that there is no amendments in the writing. You know, they made amendments for the things in the Constitution. This is our Constitution. This is our livelihood. I see nowhere in here where there are amendments that say, and in the advancement of my people, when you get cars and when you get skyscrapers, that this is what you're supposed to do. I've yet to see it. I have not. And if you do, it is because they have modified it with these, modern day versions. We're not talking about modern day versions. Let's look at the original writings. He never made allowances for these things. These things, smog, smoke, is destroying the earth. And we know there's going to be a new earth and a new Shemayim. But these things are coming to kill it. It's not dying because it's old. It's dying because it is being contaminated and destroyed. Y'all follow me? Very important for us to understand. Now let's look at let's look at why did he say for the earth to do certain things? Because he knew the intentions were for us to live off the land. To live off the land. Are you hearing me? To live off the land. That's what's important. But the caretakers that are over it now have polluted it, have contaminated it, and have destroyed it. It's
chapter 1, starting at verse 11.
verse 1.
And Yahuwah said, let the earth sprout vegetation, seed-bearing plants, fruit trees of every kind on earth that bear fruit with the seed in it. And it was so.
And it was so. Now, once again, it's important that we understand we're talking balance here. We're talking balance. We're going to be looking at vegetation. There's an imbalance. That's where problems comes in. Are you hearing me?
Yeah.
Very important that we understand. Now, once again, we're going to be, I don't want to say jumping around, but we're going to be hitting verses that's going to help us to understand the importance of ownership. And I understand, and I want you to understand that everybody does not have money to buy property. But if you do, and you choose to buy property, buy it close to a community that you trust. If you don't have it to buy, then pray and court. Listen to what I'm saying. A community that you would like to marry into. Why am I saying this? Because so many times people believe that just because I am a Ibram or Hebrew, I automatically can just go and be there. You have to understand there is chemistry, there is character, and just plain old people. And because we are in truth does not make us not have character and chemistry, and sometimes all chemistries do not mix. Are y'all following me?
Yeah.
So it is important that you court, learn the ways of that community. Let that community learn you. And as you're courting, if it is the will of the Abba, then the marriage will be so. And then you're able to make a transition. Are you hearing me? A transition to being a part of that community. Now, with that being said, and I'm just kind of taking a sidebar here. With that being said, it is important that you understand your purpose for going there is to be a help and not to take over. Are you hearing me? It is important that we understand this, because in understanding this, what happens? We build strong communities. Communities help to develop and help to structure farmland, because it works hand in hand. They work hand in hand. Are y'all hearing me? Many times people are afraid of saying everybody's a farmer. I'm not saying that. But what I am saying is that you have the ability to sustain yourself using what he's giving you to do so. For us to understand. All right, let's look at Debitum, which is Deuteronomy chapter 28 and verse 8. We're going to move around and just substantiate these things. Because I want us to get it in our hearts and not fear transition, fear change, because there's a major change as the people of Abba Yahuwah that we must be willing to walk in. Why? Because as I said before, many of us were affected and many were not affected. But this is just the first wave of events that are going to happen. And I'm not saying it to scare anybody, because that's not what I do. I don't use scare tactics. But what I am saying is that you got to understand, while we are doing other things, other people are in communities. Other people are doing, this is something they were doing after slavery. Are you hearing me?
Yeah.
Buying land and putting their people on the land and farming it and working it as a community, but as a family. Are you hearing me?
Yes.
So it's important that we understand that what is needed in this hour.
God.
Going to the store and the shelves are slim picking. You got to decide if you're going to eat, you got to eat stuff that's genetically modified. Or you got to eat something that's wilted, and all measuring will take place where we can start coming together on doing large events and on a larger scale. Because we're positioning ourselves. That's important. Very important. Why is that important? Because when you properly position yourself, now you're in a position for the Abba to do what he desires to do in our lives and teach us sustainability. Show us how